figure out where they're going to get it from. So it might be another team that has a little long-term planning that they might say, okay, guys, stop work on this project for the next 6 months because you really don't need to finish it. So that's an iterative process.
And then is funding ever just like pulled entirely?
That typically only happens if a project is canceled, okay, or if it is what we call a discretionary project. It is something that there is no, from customer commitments we have made, okay, but to be viable, we kicked off a project. Typically, projects don't get canceled; they get pushed out or they get leaned out. They only get canceled if the need goes away.
Got it. So, it's never internally canceled. It would only be externally canceled.
Right. So if Boeing comes back and say, "Hey guys, we don't need this product, or we're going to cancel," or on the DoD side, they come back and say, "Hey, we have we don't have the funding from the politicians," So typically, if they cancel it, there are cancellation fees they pay. So internal funding is a little different. There are no cancellation fees. But projects, as I said, if they're internally funded, I haven't been involved where a project's totally gone away. It is just that you have to go back in and remake your roadmap by pushing things out.
Sure.
And you can only push them out if the need gets pushed out too.
And have you been on any projects where you thought maybe that they should get canceled and maybe the funds should be redirected?
Yes. Again, I think these projects are where certain assumptions were made with a customer where they change the requirements, and typically, the contracts people are then given the task of going and negotiating the change in scope and new funding requirements. And if they do not, then if you're running the project, then typically, the leadership is looking from us to say whether they should cancel the project. But I haven't been in my 30 years. I haven't seen one canceled. Yeah, because if the DoD cancels their programs, typically Honeywell is still made whole in terms of that whatever the Honeywell might have spent up to date, and the government still is on the hook to pay that back.
Got it.
Commercial typically has certain similar things in there too, but then it's no longer the team leader's issue. It becomes a contractual issue that the lawyers have to go fight it out.
Right. And I guess just to give you a little insight into my train of thought here, part of what's running in the back of my mind while I ask you these questions is I'm trying to paint a picture of if you were to sort of build a whole new division or a whole new way of doing BD, what would that look like? And, would you be able to pull the plug on a project that the scope has changed where the funding hasn't? Or, is it better to say that you're sort of sticking with them and the projects only get canceled from the external client?
Yes.
So that's sort of, feel free to chime in on that at any point, but that's sort of the picture I'm painting a little bit.
So the key on that one is your reputation.
Mm-hmm.
These are they are not financially driven. This is what your reputation in the industry is, and typically you don't want to be in a position that you cancel a project that your customers wanted, and just because Honeywell lost money and they don't have the funding available. Typically, those decisions would probably be made at the corporate level, because reputation, is key from a sales perspective.